All right, so we got that other crank arm taken off of the non-drive side. Now we need to remove what is called the bottom bracket. This is the bearing spindle that the crank arms ride on. That also requires a special tool. This is a Park Tool BBT2, bottom bracket tool number 2. This bottom bracket tool also fits a large majority of the bikes. Until a handful of years ago, everything was pretty much industry standard, and then they started finding newer and better ways to do things. So we go ahead and remove the bottom bracket with that, and I understand it looks like I'm going the wrong way. That is because this thread is a reverse thread on the drive side. Bottom bracket is now out of the bike. So on the drive side, it'll have this flange that this threads into. On the non-drive side, it is a standard thread, and what it has is just like a spacer slash tensioner nut. Some bikes, the tensioner nut will have a flange. Some bikes, the nut's steel. Some bikes, it's aluminum. Some bikes, it's plastic. This one seems to be a thin steel one. But now that's removed, our whole bottom bracket's been removed, and we can verify that everything looks nice and neat and clean. The threads look good. Everything looks good there. Now we are going to move on to the next step, which is removing the rear derailleur. So with that rear derailleur, let's go ahead and reposition the camera so that we're over the top of the rear derailleur. Now on the rear derailleurs, this one got an Allen screw, it sure does. So first things first, when you're removing a rear derailleur, we've got, most bikes should have, unless it's missing, what's called a cable ferrule. This just goes on the end of the cable here to keep the end of it from fraying. Sometimes you can slide them off, sometimes you gotta cut them off. I will say, using a good pair of real cable cutters, my favorite again are from Park Tool. They're just durable, bike shop grade stuff. There are some companies that make a cheaper one that works fine, but it needs to be a cable cutter. If you try to use a pair of wire cutters, it just mashes the end of the cable and frays it, and it just becomes a bit of a mess. So removing the rear derailleur is easy. We pull that cable ferrule end off, 5mm Allen wrench. This is my trusty Park Tool 3-way. Loosen up the nut, pull the cable and housing off and out of the way. On this particular bike, it's got a little clip in there. Some bikes, cable housings are all routed just, I won't say willy-nilly, but on a lot of bikes, everything's routed differently. It just depends on the type of bike, the brand of bike, and how they choose to route the cables on those bikes. This particular bike uses a little bit of a longer housing. Some bikes it runs here, some bikes it's a short loop. That's what it is on this one. So now we'll remove the rear derailleur. Again, 5mm Allen wrench, and just a normal thread to go ahead and remove that rear derailleur. Once that comes off, it just leaves us with our replaceable derailleur hanger. We do want to check that over. Make sure the nut on the back side of it's tight, that the derailleur hanger is not bent, dented, or damaged. So far in this video, took the tires and wheels off, removed the cranks, removed the chain, and removed the derailleur. So now the drivetrain's off of the bike, which is the biggest part of our upgrade, is the drivetrain. One more important part that needs to be changed is up there on the handlebars. We've got to remove those old 8-speed shifters and get that handlebar set up ready to install the new shifters. So in the next video, we will pull the grips, remove the shifters, clean, install the new shifters, and see how far we get with the reassembly of the new drivetrain. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you're in Northwest Indiana, feel free to give us a call, 219-713-1463. We can do any type of work on any type of bike. It doesn't matter if it's a carbon fiber race bike or your old 10-speed. You just want to go for a lap around the block, give us a call. Please subscribe to our channel, and you can check out our last video. It'll be posted on this screen. Thanks again. Thanks for hanging out in the shop with me, and I look forward to seeing you guys out there.